Hello, this is Michael, atheist and alcoholic. I am attending 90 AA meetings in 90 days. Nothing discussed in these videos will ever undermine the anonymity of AA. So, Chapter 4, We Agnostics, ends with a story about a guy that thought he was an atheist, and I guess he was wrong. We're going to find out. It's the very end. It is a little longer, but I'm just gonna I want to get it done, so I'm just gonna read this in one fell swoop, um, and then try to end the video on a more positive note. So here we go. Chapter 4, We Agnostics. We can only clear the ground a bit. If our testimony helps sweep away prejudice, enables you to think honestly, encourages you to search diligently within yourself, then, if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. With this attitude, you cannot fail. Bet you can. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. In this book, you will read the experience of a man that thought he was an atheist. His story is so interesting that some of it should be told now. His change of heart was dramatic, convincing, and moving. Our friend was a minister's son. He attended church school, where he became rebellious at what he thought an overdose of religious education. For years thereafter, he was dogged by trouble and frustration, business failure, insanity, fatal illness, suicide. These calamities in his immediate family embittered and depressed him. Post-war disillusionment, ever more serious alcoholism, impending mental and physical collapse brought him to the point of self-destruction. One night, when confused in a hospital, he was approached by an alcoholic who had known a spiritual experience. Our friend's gorge rose as he bitterly cried out, "If there is a God, he certainly hasn't done anything for me." But later, alone in his room, he asked himself this question: is it possible that all religious people that I have known are wrong? Definitely possible. While pondering the answer, he felt as though he lived in hell. Then, like a thunderbolt, a great thought came. It crowded out all else. Who are you to say there is no God? This man recounts that he tumbled out of bed to his knees. In a few seconds, he was overwhelmed by the conviction of the presence of God. It poured over and through him with the certainty and majesty of a great tide at flood. The barriers he had built through the years were swept away. He stood in the presence of infinite power and love. Lots of capitalizations. He had stepped from bridge to shore. For the first time, he lived in conscious companionship with his Creator. Thus was our friend's cornerstone fixed in place. No later vicissitude has shaken it. His alcoholic problem was taken away. That very night, years ago, it disappeared. Save for a few brief moments of temptation, the thought of drink has never returned, and at such times, a great revulsion has risen up in him. Seemingly, he could not drink even if he would. A great revulsion has risen up in him. Seemingly, he could not drink even if he would. God had restored his sanity. What is this but a miracle of healing? Yet its elements are simple. Circumstances made him willing to believe. He humbly offered himself to his Maker, and then he knew. Even so, as God has restored all of us to our right minds, to this man, this revelation was sudden. Some of us grew into it more slowly, but he has come to all who have honestly sought him. When we drew near to him, he disclosed himself to us. Fuck, I'm convinced. That's it. I found my Jeebus. I'm glad this is done. The only thing I want to say is that I'm glad that this man's prayers were answered, and that the starving children who pray to God that they, might not starve to death and are ignored. I'm glad his prayers were answered. And that it's the problem of evil. If there is a loving God, how do you reconcile starvation in children, bone cancer in children? Why are their prayers not answered, but this guy's is? That would be a God I wouldn't want any part of. So, chapter's done. I'm very thankful. Which brings me to the topic of tonight's meeting. It was meeting 46, and the topic was on gratitude. And for all of my issues with chapter 4, something I've mentioned in these videos before and bears repeating, many of the shares tonight on the topic of gratitude were people stating that they were very grateful that AA exists because they were not able to receive the support that they required in their recovery from family. And sometimes that was because the family simply didn't understand addiction. It's pretty much impossible to, unless you're an addict yourself. You can sympathize with it, but if you haven't struggled with some type of addiction, it's I don't see how you can understand the compulsion to keep doing the thing that you don't want to do, that is killing you, and you can't stop. So some of the people weren't getting the support they required because their family just didn't understand, and then there were people who didn't get the support for a lot of worse reasons. So my share was that I am grateful for a lot of the things that everyone is. I'm grateful for my family, for my better half for sticking with me through the insanity of my early drinking, and then later the hiding of it and the, if not lying outright, lying by omission and breaking her trust over and over again. I'm grateful that my daughter was able to see me become a better person, at least less shitty. I'm grateful for my dogs. Shy, when we got her, she was terrified of men, and now if there's a thunderstorm or fireworks, she comes to me for comfort, which just kicks me right in the feels. I'm grateful that I am old enough to remember a time before the internet, but I don't have to fix my fucking washing machine without YouTube. That's forever grateful for that. But most of all, I think I'm grateful that I have been blessed with just enough tragedy that I tend not to take things for granted. I'm grateful for my shitty childhood because what I've managed to accomplish, as meager as it may be, means a lot more to me. I'm grateful for cancer, my cancer, for the bone marrow transplant I had in 2005, because that was definitely the impetus for me to really try to become less of a piece of shit. I'm grateful for my alcoholism. That struggle has made me more patient with other people. And I'm grateful that through pure genetic luck, I have been wired just such that I've actually been able to learn from my fuck-ups, become less of a piece of shit incrementally over time, and that I am wired to be grateful for all this shit, for the, not just the good things, but for the terrible things that have happened to me. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you guys very much. I am glad to be done with chapter 4. I will start reading the other chapters and hopefully I'll get more out of them that's useful, hopefully. But I'll let you guys know. Thank you. And I'll see you here again tomorrow.